going to kind of settle in for a bit. Sean should be joining in just a moment. But hi. I'm still kind of getting the hang of everything here. Have a little bit of nomenclature up top with Sean and Marco 002, making it sound like a James Bond kind of a deal. But today we're going to talk about A Bug's Life. So just sit tight. Sean should be joining in just a moment. Hello, all 12 of you. Wow. Oh, hi. Joining us on a Tuesday. It's funny, so just to kind of do a quick little background. Hold on. Checking some things. If you can still hear me.
We thought about doing these later because it would be a time in which people could tune in, but then we realized that the name of our little jingle is Sean and Marco in the morning, so we decided let's just do them in the morning, and then people can tune in later to the live when we do the rebroadcast. So yeah, let's see, making sure everything is. Let's see if it's coming up. It's working. But hello, everyone. I'd wave to each one of you as you come on in. Let's see. Hello. While we wait, I think, let me see if I can. Let's see. But yeah, kind of doing her thing. Chill. Oh, Sean's pulling a Eric Andre. Hold on. We might have to restart this. Hold on. No, that's a filter. You don't need a filter. Let's see. Hold on. Sean, come in. Come in, Sean. There we go.
Let me in!
Let me in. This is the theme. This is the theme for the week. Every time. Let me in. Let me in.
Funny. I don't understand technology yet, but I'm happy to be here.
We're old. Oh no.
I got to part our
hair. I know we got to part our hair in the middle.
I can do it. You want to? I'll do it for the
I
thing.
can't. No,
it's
no. I'm looking. Not.
For the people.
The people's part. Look at that.
The people's part. I love it.
Just
awesome.
Cool. So before you joined in, Sean, I was talking about our choice to do it to do the broadcast in the morning and let people watch it later. And then I realized I'm like, we should just do it at 11:13 in the morning to have it be a weird kind of Easter egg time.
That would be a real Abed kind of a thing to do.
Just like a off thing. So today we're talking about Toy Story. Sean has provided a bit more structure this week by having us discuss which scene we would want to talk about beforehand, kind of do a quick little synopsis. And then for those of you that are tuning in below, I believe on the add comment, there is a little portion with a question mark on the right-hand side where you can actually submit a question there too, if we miss it on the little ticker tape parade below. Yeah. So we'll try to respond up and down, but then I'll check the Skipper Freddy, the questions, and as we go. So on today's episode, take it away, Sean.
So today we're going to be covering A Bug's Life, as Marco probably covered a lot. Second installment in the Pixar franchise, feature film. It's also one really cool thing I really want to make sure we touch on it, is that it's the resurgence of Pixar shorts. So with Toy Story, there wasn't a short before the film, but with Bug's Life, there was, and it was the first short since, is it Tin Toy, right?
Probably, yeah.
Right, and so, and they shelved their whole short program to do Toy Story, and anyways, that Jerry's game or Gary's game, the GIF whatever. Anyways, it's so brilliant, and it's it's cool because I remember when I watched it, by the end of it, you were sitting in the theater going wait, was there two of them? Because even Jerry isn't sure.
By the end, you're on this little journey with them. I remember.
So
good. What's so funny with Pixar shorts is there was a good 5 years where I just forgot that the shorts would and I would watch the movie and I'm like, oh yeah, shorts, yeah, and you get real jazzed.
100%.
And man, let's see. So that's how they took up. Yes. So the entire time, sorry, refer to the entire
Mhm.
time I was watching A Bug's Life, I was like, I miss A Bug's Land. Like I
Same
know,
thing.
like the rides weren't for me. Like I mean, Heimlich's Choo Choo
100%.
Train was a thrill ride, start to finish. You know, I wasn't sure if we were.
The smells, dude. Come on,
I
I'm hungry
wasn't
right
sure
now. Give me
if the
watermelon.
watermelon was
Down
real.
goes Sean.
and, but just that environment was just so neat, and like I think it with somehow working with Tower of Terror, rest in peace.
Mhm.
You know, with the Clovers, with that, it just worked with that eye
Mhm.
line, and it worked in such an unexpected and brilliant way.
Yeah, the Tower
Um,
of Terror really made it seem a lot smaller than it was,
mhm,
just being next to it for sure. And then just the color palette of like this whole movie's color palette. It's Toy Story. It's Toy Story color palette a lot, but then it's just like I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta figure this out.
it just took me out. It was just like, oh man, the
Yeah.
colors.
No, but I really enjoyed like from the opening scene of this. I'm gonna start diving into it. From the opening scene, it kind of foreshadows almost the whole movie. You know what I'm saying? Just that the images you see. First thing you see, Ant Island, and then you see a bird flying around, and you see a leaf fall into the water, and you're going, and that's it. That's the whole thing, and it's a circle of life. And the whole movie continues in this cycle, teaching you about how everything moves in circles, and that we might be at the top now, but you'll be at the bottom next, and it just keeps on flipping and rotating. And so I thought it was really interesting how within 30 seconds, if you've seen the movie, you've watched the whole movie in the first 30 seconds again.
Hmm. I think it's neat that like the initial establishing shot and then the final pullout is really neat, and that like you forget that that whole ant colony is just on this little island, and just
Mm-hmm.
even that concept of like, I know like I'll touch on the Pixar theory real quick, but like you know when they talk about like
We're
why
gonna go
aren't
to
there
the Pixar
yeah
theory a
yeah
lot, Marco. To be honest, this one right here kind of breaks it and makes it at the same time.
hmm the whole thing where they talk about how like why aren't there humans in the world and this and that and whatever, and they when they zoom out at the end and you're like there's this like little island in the middle of a little lake, and then if you look but you know and if you focus on the thing you're not supposed to focus on and you look at the background it you know it looks like there's nothing for
Overgrown.
miles, and I'm like
Mm-hmm.
that's such a neat little like if I had a large tract of land I would make a little ant island in the back and like put koi in there or something, you
The
know.
funny thing is, Marco, is you would do that.
Yeah.
You would do that. I thought it was really interesting too, just like how like everything everywhere you go is completely overgrown. You know what I'm saying? So like even in front of which we'll touch later, when you go to Bug City and everything, it's everything around there is completely overgrown. And
Hmm.
like nobody's touched it for probably years, I'd imagine. So going
Hmm.
to that Pixar theory, it does kind of seem like maybe there's something to that.
Yeah, yeah.
The break in the Pixar theory though for me is that there's still like electricity and stuff going, like the bug lamp and all that
Hmm.
tells me, okay, well somebody's maintaining something. You know what I mean? If that's
Hmm.
going, so that's where I'm kind of like, there's that little
Hmm.
chink in your arm in Pixar theory. But yeah, so going back to the opening scene, opens up, we get to meet. No, we see what the circle is for them.
Hmm.
The ants pick the food, the grasshoppers get the food, everybody lives happy, right? And you
Or
also
so
get
we thought.
introduced to Dick Van Dyke and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, aka Flick.
Man, they should do a Bug's Life and Judy. There's no child catcher in this movie.
Yo,
Thank
dude, don't get
goodness.
me started. If we could do a
We
deep
should
dive on the
do.
child
We
catcher,
can. We can
I
do
was
like
scared
a.
for.
Yeah, we can do like a bonus episode. I think that'd be pretty funny.
Oh my god,
I
that
just.
movie. Anyways, go ahead.
No, with the Bug's Life, what I think was really funny with this movie is that like it like I have a distinct memory of seeing this. So like I'm a November birthday, and I remember like Pixar films were coming out every birthday, so that was the birthday outing. And I remember I went with my friends and we saw it, and I just remember we were laughing the entire time because there's like this perfect blend of like absolutely ridiculous slapstick humor
Hmm.
and just like Princess Ada getting flattened by like an entire stalk of a seed, you know,
Yeah.
of a grass blade, and it just that kind of stuff. It just comes real quick. It's so fast,
Well,
and
you know what I think a big part, what really adds to that, like how they're able to cultivate that, is that they get people like Phyllis Diller. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? They have a whole bunch of like just old. I don't want to say I shouldn't say old comics, but last generation's comics. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? The people who came up right after, like right when color TV started being a thing.
hmm
It's all those comics, and they're all pretty clean for the most part. And when I
hmm
mean clean, I don't mean they don't make adult humor. I mean they find a way to make adult humor in a way you can say it in front of your children,
hmm
right? And they've been doing that for 30, 40 years. They
hmm
get to Bug's Life, and it's just like Francis, that character. goal. You know what I'm saying? Goal.
Well,
And they're
just the
able to
fact
do
that
that.
yeah,
Go
and then
ahead.
they have Dennis Leary portraying him, who is not a clean.
It's so
And
good.
this cast is bonkers. When
It
you go
is.
through, it's like Dave Foley, Louis
I,
Dreyfus, Bonnie
and
Hunt. I was like Bonnie Raitt. No,
Mhm.
that's my poor
Quick
deep
call.
brain.
Who was you said Louis, not Julie Louis Dreyfus, the second one. One of the guys who's he playing? I'm trying to remember who it is.
Dennis
It's the
Leary
guy who plays
Francis.
Soil, Mr. Soil. I was looking this up, deep dive on the Pixar theory thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me look it up real quick. We'll find out what his name is. Um, Mr. Soil, Bugs Life.
Is that Renee? Is that Aubergine?
All I want to say basically about him is that he's Roddy McDowell. So Roddy McDowell, okay, what's cool about this, the Pixar theory, is he's somebody who played Planet of the Apes. He is no stranger to dystopians, especially those of which involve animals or insects now. So I'm just saying, it just kind of feeds flames. It's like, well, here's another guy
The tiny Statue of Liberty just tipped over.
I bet you there probably is something like that. We just don't know it.
You animals!
Help me, Amadeus!
Doctor say he can talk.
Yeah, so the cast though, phenomenal, top to bottom.
And it just chugs along. So I'm gonna say something that's gonna probably have my film card revoked. I have not seen the original Magnificent Seven or Seven Samurai, and I need to. They're in my queue. They're in my queue. And this movie pulls a lot from that, where it's a town that's being preyed on by a warlord or a big old grasshopper, and then they have to go and get a squad to take them out. And so, like, I want to watch those movies and see where they pull from, but it's just I think what's really fun with the movie too is just how like every idea backfires in an unexpected way, where it's like, okay, we're gonna send Flick off to do whatever he wants. That'll he's not gonna find anyone. Oh, he
It
comes back.
backfires for the best every time.
Yes,
That's what it does.
yeah. And it's like a classic car. It backfires, but it's still good.
100%, 100%. It's just character. It's just character.
It just has a patina. And so it's a real fun little movie, and I feel like it always gets overlooked. And I think it's never because anyone's like, this movie is not good. I've never heard anyone say it's, or maybe that's just the crowd I hang out with.
I think I'd blame the internet, man, because I mean, like, if Toy Story wasn't a franchise that it is, in other words, if they didn't come out with Toy Story 3, because Toy Story 2 basically that's pretty much before the internet too. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the beginning. We're not sharing stuff the way we are now. Now that you see clips of movies for years after on Instagram, Reddit, all this, you know what I'm saying, and Twitter. And so movies don't die now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, whereas before we would just quote Chappelle's show quotes for like 5-6 years, and that's how we kept the show alive. Now you literally just watch the movie in short little bursts over and over again.
I think like I think like in our generation, I think like in our age group, like it still remains a quotable film.
Oh yeah. Who ordered the poo-poo platter at work once a day?
Justice is my sword and truth.
And I work in a Hawaiian restaurant, so we really do poo-poo platters. So that's an actual thing. It's a reference to Hawaiian food and how it means it's for family, right? So good. And that's why there's like 6 flags that go all around it.
Sorry, now I need to go to where you work.
Thank you for not saying where I work. I appreciate that.
You're good. And going and like ordering this. Who ordered 6 poo-poo platters? Marco, come here.
That's us, man. I do that when I go in. Prime ribs. Anyways, so yeah, dude, let's get to so Flick has the whole instance where he's the inventor. He's got a really sweet invention that nobody wants to look at. And it's like, that thing is bonkers in comparison to the technology they're using at the time. Like, he is literally light years ahead of everybody when it comes to this stuff. You know what I mean? It's like Conestoga wagon and steam engine. You know what I mean? That's how big of a huge difference we're talking here. And so they have no concept of how brilliant Flick really is. And it sucks because Flick, being one of one, has no concept of how brilliant he is. He's got the small idea that he's bigger, but he doesn't get it yet, you know? And I love the whole conversation he has with Dot about the tree and the seed and how she goes, it's a rock. Because we've all been both sides of it, I feel like, in the sense that, like, I grew up with 2 little brothers who are on the spectrum, right? And so consistently, you find yourself in situations where you're trying to explain something and it's just not comprehended correctly, right? And so you could try to slow it down or say it, again, but it's not being communicated effectively. And so you have to find a new way around to try to get to that same exact point. And he does throughout the whole movie, to where by the end of it, Dot's telling him the same exact story, right? And it's so wonderful. This movie's, I love the circles in this movie. I love that we keep on ending up at the same point. It's like being in an enchanted forest, and every time you end up in a new point with a new friend, and it's not the same point, it's a little bit different, and it's really fun.
Yeah. And then just trying to think of the other parts of the cast, like Kevin Spacey. Good.
Okay, well, Kevin, let's talk about that. We'll just graze over it. Kevin Spacey is known as one of the all-time villains in Hollywood right now, right? And then
he went full method. He
went full on. I know, it's bonkers to think about when you're watching it and you're going, he's so good.
Yeah. Not to make light of the plight of those affected by him, but dude went full method and is living with that. We'll move on.
Well, just to cover his performance in this, though.
Yes,
he does a phenomenal job, though. Like it is just down to like what's the word? Like he's a psychopath. Like he's completely disassociative to everything. When he tells, "All right, boys, we're staying put," he says that with conviction. He means it. Yeah, you know what I mean. And when he shows him the lesson and everything, that lesson is he's such a good figurehead for what's happening even today, where it just feels like, as you see, I don't want to get too political, but you see minorities turning into majorities and stuff, and people realizing the power to vote and whatnot and things like that. And when you come together, how things can really change. And that goes for all directions and everything. And it just shows you, you don't always realize that you have the power until you use it, and he is somebody who kind of like, not to get too foil-hatted, but powers that be already know the powers that are out there, and they're scared of them, and they're worried of people organizing. And it's it was Disney took that on, or Pixar did, straight up. So so back to the cast. Julia Louis Dreyfus. That's a tongue twister. Wow. Can we talk about how the fact that she might be? I mean, everyone always talks about Seinfeld and B-movie, right? And it feels like
but no one
she kind of, she kind of pioneered this.
Yeah. Jerry Seinfeld was like, wait a second.
I could do less.
There was no jazz, I guess.
That's true. I smell a crossover. That's all I'm saying. Crossover.
I would look to see if, I'm sure that connection's been made online and probably in areas of the internet that I don't want to check out, but no, that is funny. Now I'm trying to think of other Seinfeld cast members that have made the crossover to Bugs.
Jason Alexander Jason Alexander played somebody in a Pixar movie, didn't he?
I don't think so. And then Kramer didn't. Wayne Knight plays Zurg in the Toy Story films, or he does. Yeah, or in the animated series.
He's got nothing in it. Yeah, you're right.
Jason Alexander. We're gonna make the Seinfeld.
I feel like he could do a really good animated character for Pixar.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah, he did. He was in Hunchback.
I could just keep screaming.
Serenity now.
He should have been the angry guy in Inside Out. He'd been perfect.
But then let's. Oh yeah.
Seinfeld, love him, but also let's go back to the Bugs Life. We got Brad Garrett as Dim. That was solid performance. Oh no, Richard Kind, Molt. Yes. Let's talk about him. All right, phenomenal performance. Phenomenal. All right, I was in every time he was talking. All right, shut up. I was in.
And then he comes full circle as Bing Bong, and somehow.
I love it. I love how he doesn't, even when he's free, he still goes to become somebody else's. Basically, just works for somebody else. It's great. He can't be an entrepreneur. It's not him.
It's not his thing. David Hyde Pierce as Slim is another great one.
Swish, swish, clang, clang.
A splinter.
Oh man, I like this blooper a lot when he has
Oh
this
yeah.
like jelly in my eye.
Oh,
Ah, there really is jelly in my eye.
and then I don't think we can talk about the circus crew. I mean, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. We haven't really focused on Dennis Leary yet, but I don't think you can focus on the circus crew without Joe Ranft as Heimlich
Oh
owning
my
that role.
God. Oh my God. I don't do Heimlich quotes because I'm too bad at them. Like I don't, it's not good. I either sound Irish or Jamaican. Those are the only accents I got. It's not going to sound good.
That would have been
fine. Look, I'm a beautiful butterfly.
Yeah, I think that's one of those performances and impressions that you have to do at full volume, and it's just like, like you just can't do it quietly. Like there is zero.
Oh, but I am flying. You only can do the ants from up here.
There's no market for Heimlich ASMR where someone's like,
yes, I'm going to... Oh my God. I went to sleep 3 nights this week to Heimlich. You're tripping. You're all the way tripping.
Is this going to be our extra content? We're going to be doing like, just Heimlich playing with like kinetic say, today I'm going to play with kinetic sand. Oh no!
I'm going to cut this pie.
Beautiful pie.
Oh, I ate it. No.
Today's Halloween episode will be candy corn. Hi,
oh my gosh.
This is what we're like. This is what we do. This is how ideas come out. And this is, I hope this is entertaining as funny.
Oh my gosh.
When we were talking about our scene to choose, which scene, I just wanted to make sure, like, I wanted to talk about him arriving in the city of bugs, and then the scene you wanted to talk about was...
Well, let's cover the city of bugs first. Let's do it. Because, go ahead, you go.
No, so Flick arrives in the city of bugs, which I think is a really funny scene. But one of my favorite things about the city of bugs is, wait, can I do it? They Instagram changed their whole layout, and I don't think I'm able to post pictures. I had pictures ready. Okay, so the reason that I chose the City of Bugs scene was because of does anyone remember Disney Adventures magazine?
Was way back when, like DuckTales
monthly. Yeah, and I think it's weird. It went for a lot longer than I thought it did. But someone on archive.org is in the process of like scanning all of them, so you can go and you can flip through them, see the old ads and stuff. And
that's right.
I distinctly remember in the Bugs Life one that they have. So the pictures I would show is they have interviews with most of the cast, just real quick little blurbs and stuff. But then down the center column, the spine of the magazine, they have all these Easter egg trivia things, and I would like to think that was the first time that I was aware of the Pizza Planet truck appearing in multiple movies, but it wasn't listed in that, so I need to find the actual one. But the reason that I love the City of Bugs scene is because even before I saw the movie, I remember them saying like, look on the labels and there's different names, and it's it's John Lasseter's kids, it's there's a Darla Anderson, I think it's a reference. There's a Darla product. If you look way in the background in the right, there's a Lion King on Broadway poster. There's the PJ Soda. There's then I remember there's all those little details. One of the labels on the wall is the A113-1195. So it's Toy Story and A113, the famous classroom at Cal Arts. And so like I love that scene, but then it just like what's funny watching it now is that was a big establishing shot scene, and it's so busy. And then when you look at it now, you're like, you get a sense of space because he's an ant, but then you also get a sense of space because it's a cardboard box, and it somehow is big and little, and it's just a real neat little fun scene. Rapid fire gags, the mime.
The mime was wonderful.
The cricket whose wings were taken, R.I.P.
Also, then, right there, another hole in the Pixar theory. Kid stole my wings. That means there's a kid. But then again, we could be all like, check it out. It could be Monster Time. You know what I mean? It could be Monsters Inc. time. That could also be where this is at. So just you never know. Although I feel like the monster cars look different than people cars, but still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, but they did make the Pizza Man truck in Monsters Inc. So I mean, I guess it is.
Well, it was yeah.
And they shifted back in time to see it. I know, but well, I mean, back in time because the Pixar theory. I'm doing a lot of reading. All right. It does look really grandiose when it first goes in there. One thing I kind of noticed with this movie, more so than Toy Story, is that I feel like the animation's more of a challenge because they're able to hide behind insects all looking the same, and so there's so many models that look so similar to each other when you're watching it that and it's impossible to kind of get around that because you're going to make millions of bugs, and so it's nobody wants to make a million different bugs, I get it, but I felt like there were certain times where I was looking at everything and I was like, this kind of like if they redid A Bug's Life today or did A Bug's Life 2, it would be so astounding how beautiful and how cool it would look just because of where they're at now, and like there's so many more textures and stuff they could add to things and whatnot, and the way that bugs move and all, and being able to do that. One thing I was really, really, really impressed with was the millipedes and the way the millipedes worked. They got those down. It was wonderful. But back to the big Bug City scene, that mime thing and all that was wonderful. Like really, really, really good. I laughed all 3 times I watched it. I thought it was great. What else happens? I like the way that the bus comes and everything, and the characters, the voice they use. Yeah, dude, like this voice, it just sounds like the way like you, not like just like a train conductor's voice, but more so like when a bus comes down the street, it's really rumbling and it comes. That guy's voice was necessarily that. It was pretty cool. I thought they did a good job of that as well. Yeah, and then also let's talk about the fact that that's where we get to see our Butte. That's the Pizza Planet truck. You see, she's parked outside of a place that's once again has completely been overgrown, but then again, there's the light, so maybe there is people around. I'm not sure. The Monsters Inc. theory to the whole thing is that they go back in time to the doors, so it makes me feel like that there should be people there. Maybe it's just the grid hasn't turned off yet. Yeah, who knows?
For the end.
It really, because I mean, there's a lot of like when you really watch it and you read the Pixar theory stuff, like it really does line up kind of pretty well. The scene I wanted to talk about was the Bar Brawl. Okay, so it starts off with the poo-poo platter and everything, right? And then you get dud.
No sound. All positive.
All of that was so good. They're able to make so many references that are just adult, like just drunk references between last one was Mrs. Nesbitt when the spiraling hammered drunk guy. And so like now we get like positive, the Bloody Mary. It was so good. The way the Bar Brawl goes down, like the thud and all that. I thought it was just like, I don't know. I really enjoyed the theater of the whole thing, of how like you could see from Flick's perspective the way things looked and how it didn't. You were talking about it
didn't go down but
everything in this movie is just a whole bunch of like it's what did we say earlier? Just backfires. Exactly. It backfired in the best way. So even for the bugs, you know what I'm saying? Inside of for the circus bugs. They're in there. They're scared crapless. They decide they can do the Robin Hood act, Men in Tights act, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And you get the swoosh, swoosh, clang, clang, and it's so good too. You feel so much for the stick bug because you could tell he just wants like a good meaty roll, and they give him just bones. You just deal with it, guy, and it's so good. I really wish that they would give him actually like a real good role at some point in the movie or somewhere, or like maybe like do a short where like he actually does like some decent act, you know what I mean? Because I just feel like, or like he's about to again and it just gets taken away. That was a great shtick. I loved it. Then one thing I wished more of was that the Black Widow I wish she was more powerful. Like just because like we all, especially as children, we're so scared of Black Widows and everything. And I get that they're trying to make her maternal and everything to Dim, but it just was like, I don't know. You'd expect a Black Widow to be able to take care of herself, you know?
I mean, let's see. Yeah, no, I'm trying to. I mean,
she's got abilities. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm saying like she's so. I get they're all dainty. None of them are fighters. They're supposed to not be warriors. I totally understand that. But I just the whole time I was sitting there thinking like, by like the second time I watched it through this week, I was going, the Black Widow should be able to take care of like all these bugs. It is, well, yeah, it's insane when you realize that
Yeah.
the town is ready for him to die, never come back.
Yeah.
First of all, they didn't, not just ready, they sent him to die. Like
Yeah.
that panel right there sent him to his doom. That was
And
the
when he
goal.
like leaves and goes over, I forgot about the part where he goes over the hill and they just cheer and he's like, "Yeah!" And he just keeps going.
Dude.
Like that's pretty heavy that the whole town's like, "He's gone."
Oh my gosh, man! And he saves them all.
Mhm.
That's the Messiah complex, though, right? That's the whole Judas Messiah thing right there. That's a trip. Every story is connected. That's one of the coolest things about storytelling. One of the coolest things about Pixar in general is they realize that every story is just a retelling, and all you can do is do it to your best, and they do a wonderful job of that, especially in this.
Yeah.
I like all their usage of all their tools around them, the way they're able to use like the dandelion for him to fly across that and everything. That's wonderful. The way they use the circus cookies box to be circus bugs and everything. Just like they really utilized everything at their disposal that their bugs have to be themselves. All the way to the point of Bug Island is really bland. Like really, really, really bland. And why? What do ants have? They don't got nothing. It's not, you don't see like ants like they don't, like, it's, I don't know how to put it, like they don't hang out around all the food. They go back to their anthill. They bring the food back. You know what I mean? So like, I like the fungi for lights. That was pretty rad inside of there. But I mean, there really wasn't, like, we've all had ant farms and stuff, so they just made it as true to nature.
It's like a real natural architecture kind of deal. I'm trying to
Unlike when you watch if you watch Ants, we could probably touch on that. When you watch that, it's a lot more, it's personified a lot more. You know, they have there's all kinds of things that make them more human. And A Bug's Life is not that. They stay true to their bugs, and they only are able to utilize the things in it. Like their laws of the universe I like it a lot better.
Yeah, I didn't see Ants until probably like a year ago. I think it was on Netflix. And I was like, I'll watch this. Yeah, it's
pretty good.
It's there are moments of like it's, you know, Jeff Katzenberg was in that whole thing where every single thing had to be edgy. And it works a couple times, but like I was surprised by it. I was surprised. Like I thought it was going to be like terrible, but then
the animation doesn't touch what Pixar's doing. It doesn't touch at all what Pixar's doing.
When you're intentionally rushing a film to try to beat another film, it's not going to turn out great. But then, or at least from a looks perspective, and I think, but
it worked at the time though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're looking at what movie time is this? 98, and so that came out in 97. Like it worked. For 1997. We're watching stuff like Beast Wars. You know what I'm saying? Like that's killing the game with the 3D arts. Yeah. Actually, real quick, just so you know, I wanted to tell you this off camera, but I'm gonna tell you on camera now. There's a Beast Wars prequel on Netflix right now.
Oh, is it really good? See, so all I've seen when it comes to Beast Wars recently is so I'm going to be talking about a technology that I really
experienced. You're right. Sorry.
A technology that I like Bitcoin and other things. I barely understand it, but I'm aware of it. There are like AI programs that can upscale things, and it'll like scan and kind of fill in frames and make it run smoother and upscale it to a point. So someone upscaled the first episode of Beast Wars to like 4K, or at least, you know, and it's just weird watching that show being like, I remember looking through it where it was like blurry and like I couldn't, you know, everything.
And it looked great.
And it was,
you thought you were in the jungles with them or in the desert or on a mountain, and you were like, that's cool. It's a cheetah and he's a robot and it looks like a cheetah. And now it looks like T-Rex. 10 pixels and they're stacked on top of each other. And then
old Transformers was just Tetris pieces. Let's see.
Okay, so back to it. Our guy, what do you say?
Check it. Let's see. Anyone wonder why did they put the rocks in the exact same spot where it fell off before? I feel like ants are very tradition based, and
they're gonna do everything the exact same way. I think that's a pretty good reasoning behind that. I mean, they remember like in the very beginning, very, very like when they're first harvesting, the leaf falls, right? The line, we lost the line.
Nothing like the twig of 23.
So I'd imagine the people. He's at 93. Another Pixar theory reference. I'm like thinking, okay, which 93 are we talking about? 2093, 1993. I don't know. So, anyways, I would see them making it the exact same each time, just because they only know that way. You know.
Stuck in their ways.
100%. And also, I doubt that it's ever fallen outside of when Flex Machine knocked that thing off. Which is such a bummer, because by the end of the thing, like, everyone's using them, which tells you, like, it worked perfect. He just was rushed. I wonder what was wrong with it. Anyways, what else we got here? Hey, it is crap. They had a pretty good voice through on that one.
That's one thing that I thought was so funny. That was a weird. Okay, we are taking a brief break from our Bugs Life podcast to talk about.
We're on the coaster.
we're talking about ants for a hot second. I do think, okay.
You got Woody Allen,
Sylvester
Stallone,
and Stallone.
Sharon Stone. Oh, I'm going to read it down the line. This is nuts. Okay. Gene Hackman, Jennifer Lopez, Danny Glover, Christopher Walken, Dan Aykroyd. Is there more? There's more. Who else is big on this? I guess those are the main ones. Those are your big heavy hitting names, I feel like. Who else?
I'm just trying to think about, like, if they had actually made, like, an action film with Woody Allen and Stallone.
If this was an action film, it would be one of the most lit casts of all time. Yeah. It would be so tight. If Gene Hackman, who was good enough to be Superman supervillain, Lex Luthor, comes together with Christopher Walken to try to take over the world, and then Sylvester Stallone has to team up with Danny Glover, I'm getting too old for this shit, and Dan Aykroyd for comic relief, are you kidding me? And then Woody Allen directs the whole thing?
There? Yeah.
I'm in. I'm all the way in. Oh my gosh. Sharon Stone Sharon Stone could be like the villain with Gene Hackman, and Jennifer Lopez could be the heroine. Oh man, we're writing a movie. Next project.
Hello. Hello. We've got an idea for you.
Yeah, so anyways, back to Bugs Life. Ants was cool, wasn't nearly as cool as Bugs Life. And it definitely doesn't read nearly as well animated wise. Going back to it, our cast over here, much more traditional. It really reads like we're watching like an old roast when you look at the cast they got going on for A Bug's Life, you know. So he goes off, he goes to the bar and everything, goes to see these people, or see these bugs, trying to find people, because the bar looked like it was a tough bar. Kind of reminds me of the SpongeBob scene. And then he goes inside. We get to see all these different actions from around there. They get all these quick one-liners, and bam, 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 the Bloody Mary, O positive, down to the I said no salt, to just there's the way that the bottle caps are stuck on the side of the wall, and there's bugs inside on the wall. Like, they're really utilizing, once again, all the things that bugs can do. And then it cuts to the very back, which I would imagine this goes back to what you were talking about with the Magnificent Seven and what was the other one? Seven Samurai. Seven Samurai. I would imagine that scene, I bet you, was probably pulled exactly, because I haven't seen those either. It's probably pulled from those almost verbatim, in the sense that when you look at the way that it's shot, there's this whole bar scene happening, and everything's going on. It's very lively. And in the back of it, you've got the cigarette smoke and a light going. And it's just them basically convening, talking about this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? And they're not really warriors, but still the lighting they have going on right there, it makes them look pretty badass. And so from there, you get Thud, comes down, they pick the fight. They're picking a fight on Ladybug. Ladybug decides, all right, I'm done with this. They done the shtick of the Robin Hood thing. And the can starts moving and everything. And when the smoke clears, you got these guys getting up. And they're getting up like they're really just trying to pull themselves together. And Flick walks in at the absolute perfect time, the perfect framing. You know what I'm saying? To see Stickman just boop, nailed up there. And you get the beginning of the end. Or the beginning of the beginning.
That seems funny, because there's little things like I hadn't noticed even upon repeated viewing, is just like how they go from that heroic pose to like literally the next second, just like,
deflated completely. 100%. And he doesn't see it, which is it kind of, we all do that, you know, he gets snow blinded by, you know, what's going on.
And then I'm sorry, I'm jumping far ahead, but I'm just thinking about the mural presentation at the
Dude, that was kind of brutal. Heimlich in
pieces.
We all want two Heimlich. But not like that.
Not like that.
Not like that.
Last night I sent you. So while I was watching it, I was like sending you little notes and stuff, and I sent the That tune that they play at the beginning of that scene where the little bugs are like little ants are crawling over like the crest to see like
Hmm.
the celebration, where just this like pan flute
Yeah,
jam. It's like the catchiest little tune,
it
and
hits. It
yeah,
hits for
I'm
sure.
like, I really just want to like have a car with loudspeakers, just be like driving around town, hanging on
Vibing,
a little bit of
vibes,
a little bit of
2021,
like a
bug vibes.
Machu Picchu kind of stuff, you know. I and that brings up something that I want to bring
Sorry.
up that's like it's adjacent to the film. I think is really funny. Is I have weird pet peeves, and one of them is um, incomplete movie soundtracks. Now I understand that like in certain
Hmm.
cases there are like
That happens
specific,
so often too.
yeah, and like I know that like a Quentin Tarantino film or like certain films are going to be pulling from sources where they don't have the copyright to distribute it. But
Hmm.
when music is made for a film in score, I always find it funny that the only way to get a complete score for a film is to, I think it's like usually the For Your Consideration albums,
Hmm.
when they release those, have a full track listing.
Got it.
Like anyone that's talked to me in the past like couple of years knows that like the Road to El Dorado score soundtrack has none of the songs from the movie, like, or none of the versions that are like it has like
It's
half
all
of the
different
songs.
versions of it.
Well, it's like it's something
I
weird where
got
it's like
you.
they have a slower version of one song, they have a this of that, and then they just omit the. It's a
I
big
know what you're
funny thing,
saying.
and I'm sure that there's somebody who's somebody we know who knows somebody who probably knows why that is.
My little brothers probably know why that is for sure. They're bowdy when it comes to the soundtrack game. They sent me like I was listening to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 2, what is it, Return of the Ooze or whatever it is. I was
hmm
listening to that soundtrack a couple days ago, and it bangs, dude. Like I
hmm
was tripping out. I just wonderful. So yeah. Anyways, back to the soundtrack for Bugs Life. Go ahead.
No, that's all I got. I want to drive around town playing the celebration song
we
from A
can
Bug's Life.
we can do that as long
We
as
could
we
just be.
go right into the Return of the Jedi celebration song. I'm in. Stop, stop.
Uh,
Do-do-dub-dub.
um,
So we have that. They take them back over to. They're scared because the stud's waking up, and whatever you say, Flick, we're down. They roll back to Ant Island.
mhm.
We get back to Ant Island. They start to realize exactly what's. They don't actually. They still don't realize what's going on,
What
and
they're
they feel like
into,
they're
yeah.
about to lose the gig. And
hmm
so what happens? Dennis Leary takes the front and says, "We're gonna knock them dead," which
hmm
everybody believes is they're gonna get knocked out dead. And because that's the way that Kevin Spacey talks, so it just makes
hmm
sense that now we got Dennis Leary is going to be the hero of our story, except that's not the case. And
hmm
then when we get the next 5-10 minutes, we find out Flick learns that they're all circus bugs, as well as
hmm
they learn that they're there to kill, and they're not down.
I'm glad none of them were. Like one of them was, oh,
I mean,
we
you
have to
kind of
fight
felt
a
like Dennis
battle.
Leary might be down. You know what I mean? Like Dennis is the one you might be worried about.
Ready to throw
Uh-huh.
down. Um,
Uh, So
okay,
going
well,
back to let's go to that scene now. So they're all being celebrated. Flick
hmm
has now proposed to them a plan of which we can get through this whole thing, but we're gonna need
The
your help.
bird.
Exactly, we're gonna need the bird. And so we start construction on the bird. Everybody's excited because the Warriors have this great bird plan, and they say we're gonna throw this big party, and they throw the big party, and then all the Dots homies, the Girl Scouts, what are they called? The
The
blueberries?
blueberry patrol,
The
and they're
blueberries.
yeah.
They have their little presentation of their of their play. Die! Die at the very end. So good, so good. And they show the whole that's mural and everything,
hmm
which like
That'd be a fun
once
art
again,
piece to have. A
yeah, actually
little
it really would
conversation
be
above your
a good
mantle.
like bathroom art, a little bathroom art for you.
Here it is. Here's the mural from A Bug's Life.
um, okay, so then we go through all that. What happens next?
Build a bird. PT Flea arrives.
Ooh,
And
that's a big scene.
hmm
So
and John
we can talk about
Ratzenberger,
the opening
Flaming
scene
Death.
with Flaming Death with John Ratzenberger and everything. That's once again, it's circles and when things backfire for the best one more time. So that whole thing ends up they do their ring of death because the circus is going down. Nobody wants to
hmm
be there, and all of a sudden he goes, "Fine, we're gonna do Flame of Death. It's our closer. It's all we got." We go to
hmm
do it. It goes terrible too. PT Flea ends up burnt to a crisp, and he tells them all they're fired, which also gives us all of our favorite line.
Mhm.
You're fired.
You're fired.
Up. I love it. And so with that, we get to get this next full circle, because this is a movie of circles, and we get to see P.T. Flea come back and say, I have people lined up out the box for this circus now. We got to go back. I need you.
Foot long.
I'll burn myself every day. And I'll burn myself 3 days a week and rest on the fourth. Whatever he says, And when he does that, it's the big reveal for our Ant Island friends, who now realize that they don't have warriors. They have a bunch of circus bugs, which is scary because the grasshoppers are real, and they've made that known thus far, whether it's through Kevin Spacey's monologues, which once again, I can't get over how just sinister he is, or whether it goes down to that, what was the one grasshopper that's really scary looking?
Thumper. Okay, so I will say, like, watching, so it was brought up yesterday, someone was like, did this movie scare you? And I'm like, Thumper was just like a weird, like, multiple jump scare every time he appeared.
Yeah.
And I was
100%.
like, this is pretty intense.
Yeah, no, you're right. Jump scares, definitely. He's got some real Jason vibes to him. Down to when Dot's running from him, he's right there the whole time. She's running full speed, and he's like, oh, yeah, I am. No, I'm over here now. So he really was, as a child, he really was scary, the way they do him. And then the kid, I remember, like, we're watching this in theaters. So, like, the buzz that they have, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I got my sound here, but the buzz of the grasshoppers in theaters, when I immediately sank right back in, and I was like, I'm 5 years old. I guess I'm 8 years old, and that buzz scares me.
Yeah, it's a menacing Harley, evil, organic, like,
100%.
It's a great
it draws
sound
from,
design.
think about this, man. When the apocalypse comes, it's supposed to be locusts in the air, right? And that's the same buzz you're probably going to hear. It sounds like the end of the world. And we don't even know that as children. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's a trip. So you get that with the grasshoppers. They do a great job of really creating just fear. The bug circus is found out. P.T. Flea wants to take them out, take them all back. Francis Dennis Leary says, hey guys, calm down. Flick's idea is going to work. And everyone goes, Flick's idea. And they realize in that moment, oh, we're doomed. Which is once again a bummer, because, like, when you think about it, Flick, he's really not doing too bad. Like, he's batting pretty high. He's just had a couple really bad swings. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did have that really cool invention. He like the harvesting invention. He did figure out how to make a telescope, which has been utilized like 3 or 4 times thus far. He did find other ants, whether or not they're warriors or not. They're much stronger. Not other ants, other bugs. Whether they're warriors or not, they are much stronger than the ants singular. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I mean, like, he's not doing bad, like, at all, when you really think about it. He's stood up for his colony multiple times thus far as the only ant to do so. So, as much as the colony hates him, he's killing it. Like, he's doing a great job. Nobody else is doing anything at all. You know what I mean? And
that was one thing too that they point out, that, like, they stopped gathering, and I was like, they didn't gather anything in the time that he was, like, how long was he gone? How long?
Well, no, what I got from that was that they gathered their own food in that time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you think about it, like, they have to.
They'd have
food for, you know what I mean? And so, yeah. Also, I did a deep dive on Dave Foley and his Kids in the Hall, singing all of his background, and that was very avant-garde. It's very before its time, and you could tell, like, if that happened today, it'd be way more polished and everything. And but it's the seeds of basically all improv sketch comedy that we see on television today. It's pretty cool. So back to it. So you got the bugs. They all know that Flick is the one that made up the story. Made the plan. Nobody wants to do it now, even though it's a friggin' soundproof plan. You know what I mean? We know Kevin Spacey's scared of birds. Cut to Grasshopper's buzz comes. We all get scared as children. Then we get we get to find out what the plan is via this raid. They start pillaging the ants, and it's pretty visceral. Like,
it's pretty gnarly. Yeah, it stokes fear. But then when they launch the bird, that'd be cool. That'd be a cool ride.
I was like, that. So Dot's all of a sudden the one. That's
Yeah.
cool.
God, I want to shout.
I wish
from
it
the
was Dennis
show.
Leary. I'll be honest. I wished it was Dennis Leary.
Big angry Boston guy.
Oh, down goes Sean again.
Imagine Kevin Spacey being afraid of birds in real life. Yeah.
Probably is. So then
That's how method he went.
yeah,
Bird flies in his window. You've been summoned, and then it flies away. Oh no! Lord summons.
So so the bird comes down. Grasshoppers are spooked, right? And they start to kind of scatter, but they're not like ants in the sense they don't stick together at all. So they start scattering in all different directions, right? And you get Kevin Spacey's the first one to kind of realize that something's kind of off. Something doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? You got one of the wings not really functioning right or something like that. And they start spinning a little bit, exactly. And then all of a sudden,
Tokyo drifting.
Yep. And then they end up getting caught. Then the rain comes,
Mm-hmm.
and the rain, honestly, like
they've been foreshadowing that the whole movie.
And you don't get exactly how torrential and how terrible rain is for bugs until it happens, and you realize each drop, even if that could have been sprinkles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have no idea. We don't have scale for that.
Yeah.
So like they just completely get decimated by this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a world-changing event for them. And they have to find a way to make it through it. And what's even gnarlier about all of that is somehow, some way, Flick isn't moved. He's the guy who's been beat up by the grasshoppers, all this stuff, and he's not moved by Mother Nature. You know, Mother Nature is undefeated. You know, and you see that by the end.
Thinking ahead.
He's moving. He's 10 steps ahead of everybody else already. He's about to get beat up, and he's cool with it. So we got the rain coming down, the birds on fire. Dot made it out safe, barely. The queen's not going to get smashed anymore. Oh, you know what we missed? I totally forgot to bring up was when the circus bugs come back and they put on a show, which is hilarious because what the? All of a sudden, Kevin Spacey's like, you know what? Stop murdering these ants. I want to watch a circus.
It's a good villain. It's a good villain motivation. You know, every good villain has to have their downfall, and the murderous grasshopper really likes circuses. And that's a quirk, a villainous quirk you don't see in movies these days. You don't see it's like, oh, well, I like
No, it's a Power Ranger quirk for villains, you know? It's not what you'd expect. It was good. And it's exactly what this movie needed to make sure it was for children, you know? Otherwise, that whole scene is really, really, really dark.
Yeah.
I mean, like, literally and figuratively. Like, it's actually nighttime. There's a storm happening. Bugs are getting smushed. Even though they're not showing bugs get smushed, they're showing bugs with feet on their heads, and then it cuts to somebody else. And you're like, okay, well, that's the end of that ant. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. I think that the thing that was funny when you brought up the rain, I think there's only like one shot, and it's a real quick shot when they're pursuing Hopper and they're flying over the water, and they're showing them like swooping in, and then it's like a 2-second shot of just them far away, and there's just like no sound, just like and you hear it, and then it goes into it, and then and
100%.
the sound design on that's really funny because even though it's a drop, and even though it's rain, it just sounds like like there's these big like low frequency bloops coming through.
Yeah.
And it conveys the size of those drops and how they have to avoid these columns of water. And just the payback of that bird coming back, of the actual real bird.
The real bird, that right there. So just the courage that Flick displays in this movie, man. Like, he might be the most courageous character in Pixar. Like, we got him starting off, he's the only ant to step out of line when ants already are sick. When the leaf falls, they're scared. He's out by himself doing his own thing, all right? So already that shows us he's more courageous than most of the ants there. After such, he stands up to a grasshopper, gets beat up by a grasshopper, jumps over Grand Canyon-like ravine with a dandelion.
On a dandelion.
Yeah, hits a rock, chilling, goes to a place where he knows he's the country boy and will stick out, is able to find some people without getting smushed and everything, makes his way through all that, makes his way back to the place, which I can only imagine has got to be a tumultuous journey. You know what I mean? That's something that's left out of this, is the journey from the dandelion to Bug City. I can't imagine it's going to be too easy of a journey either, or even to know where you're going. You know, I wonder how they do all that. Anyways, I get too thoughtful in this. And then after that, you get him. He comes back with the bugs and everything, takes on their lie as his own. Because he didn't lie. he's not the one who lied to everybody. You know what I mean? He lied by omission by the end, but he's not the. He saw what was happening and thought he couldn't let this colony's hopes go.
Yeah.
And that's even more courage. He put the whole colony's hope on his back. After such, he gets beat up again by a grasshopper. Faces heights in the bird as the pilot. Faces flame in the bird as when it catches on fire. Saves Dot's life. Then jumps out and takes on Hopper by himself, who at this point has beat him up multiple times. He knows that he doesn't stand a chance to him one-on-one at all. Then is able to have the forethought to be able to think of a plan in which involves an actual bird, which has got to be even scarier than everything else he's faced thus far. And he goes about it in the best way possible. And he's the one who gets, are you ready for this? The big circle. He gets the payoff of being able to act the way the stick bug wanted to act the whole movie, in the sense that he actually got to act like he was scared for a second of the bird, whereas Stickman never gets to even act once. And that's what I got from it, is that Stickman has a sad ending because he never gets to.
They need to do like a follow-up film, Slim's Redemption.
That'd be a good movie. So yeah, but then,
it would just be Slim
whole...
as a cowboy, Red Dead Redemption.
Well, speaking of cowboys, you're talking about how it's based on an old Western. This entire score, whether it's the Randy Newman stuff or just everything, it's very Western. The palette in it's very Western. It looks desert-like in between the Ant Island and Bug City and everything. It just very much so has that cowboy theme to it for sure. So, but yeah, that bird scene at the very end, the payoff there was phenomenal, and it's dark. It's as dark as like it reminded me of the end of Tarzan when you see him just hanging there, and you know, and as a child, like that's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And so, like when he gets just gobbled up, that's a lot. Like for 8-year-old Sean, that was heavy. I wasn't ready for that. I mean, I'm sure I was, but you know.
I think what's interesting too, at the end of this, is that like you assume the grasshoppers with a leader gone, scared off by maybe a real bird or something, fly away, and then you still find out that Molt stays with PT Flea, and I think that's a good ending because like the whole time you're kind of like, Molt was dumb, but he wasn't bad. He was like
he was never bad.
Yeah, he's
Molt
just kind of
Molt was actually nice. You know what I'm saying? When you look at his track record, he was the one that was like saying, we don't got to go back. He was one that even when they got to the first time, he was comic relief and being nice to the ants. And Kevin Spacey wasn't cool with that. So
yeah. So I'm just trying to think of other. I guess
that the grasshoppers are basically a biker gang. They basically were a biker gang, definitely.
Yeah.
Down to the noise, back to that hum and everything. They really were. They were just missing the jackets. I like when you go to see their lair and it's just in a sombrero and like, what do you say? Give it a granitas.
I will say, I think the water skiing bug. I think there's like a water skiing bug during that scene outside.
Yep.
I always thought that was a really funny gag.
Yep. Definitely. Man, A Bug's Life. I think it's not my favorite Pixar movie thus far. I mean, I definitely like Toy Story more than I like The Bug's Life. It's not by any means, I wouldn't say that it's not a good movie. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
That's what I was thinking.
It's definitely a step. I feel like it's the step in it that I wish it had. I kind of touched on it. It's just the animation. At this point, I don't think it holds up nearly as well as any other Pixar film. And I think it was very adventurous of them to take on bugs, because bugs are incredibly intricate creatures, and like to animate them, it's got to be so difficult. It's not like you've been drawing. We all draw pictures of ourselves growing up and stuff. So you've been drawing people your entire life, right? We don't always draw all these bugs, and there's so many different types of bugs. And so for them to be that ambitious, taking all these different movements and stuff, to be able to try to make it all look right and make it read right, and they did a great job of it. And just little things like I'm not as appreciative of like the eyes of everybody in this movie as I am of eyes in most other Pixar movies. Just the textures on stuff were a little more bland, but I get it because it's grass. What do you can do with grass? But then again, when you look at like these same, like basically the same scenes, like you see like the same setting from A Bug's Life in so many other Pixar movies, whether it's Jesse's whole story up with the tree on the hill and everything. That color palette, that scene is very similar to what Ant Island looks like and everything. And just the way they do grass and everything's done way better further down the line. So it's kind of reminds me of like the way I would say The Matrix is a great movie and people look like rubber in it.
Yeah, and I think what's always so funny is like I don't think the film was like particularly forgettable, or it's just overshadowed by everything else. It's not that it's not good. It's just that everything else is just like sticks in your head. And like I feel like A Bug's Life is the kind of movie where it's like I feel like where when I used to work, like it's a movie you throw on in a break room and no one's gonna be like, I hate this film. Everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, I like this film, or I haven't watched it in a while and I'm willing to watch it again.
Yeah.
And it's like and like I said earlier, I think like a lot of my enjoyment of the film comes from that nostalgia and that rapid fire like gags and stuff. And oh yeah, that too. The fact that there isn't a sequel.
And
Definitely.
it totally had the chops for it too.
Yeah.
And we were by the end of Toy Story 2's bloopers, I remember at that point, all of us thought it's coming. Bug's Life 2. You know, and we'll touch on that with the next podcast, I'm sure. But
yeah, I was gonna say like I feel like there's got to be like a video game tie-in or something, because that's usually where they did funny sequels for movies. I always thought that was funny. When they did like, you know, like Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge or something. I should look into that. But
yeah, the no sequel thing really hurt the franchise for Bug's Life. But at the same time, I don't know that. I mean, you can't really. Is Phyllis? I don't know. Is Phyllis Diller still around? Is that bad? Is that rude to ask? I don't know.
I don't think she is.
Yes, I feel like this cast to be kind of hard to get back together. I feel like, to be totally honest, you're not gonna get Kevin Spacey back. Phyllis Diller's gone.
Hopper's dead.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
Or he's like limping along.
But and then also, I mean, what else? There's not much more story to tell. Like it's basically like you were saying, the Seven Samurai, and it's also the story of the ant and the grasshopper. We should definitely talk about that. It is 100% the story of how the grasshopper doesn't save his food for winter, and that's been told 1,000 times, whether it's in limerick, poem, short story, or I mean, Disney covered it way back. I used to watch the old Disney cartoon of this. So it's an old cartoon, and so I mean, it's a story that's been told 1 billion times, and that's once again I pay tribute to Pixar for picking some of the best stories, and Disney in general. Because I mean, like first they get their hands on all the Grimm series, and they make all those wonderful fairy tales for us to watch as children. And then Pixar comes along and just kind of says there's a lot more than just fairy tales for us to tell, and they kill it. So yeah.
Let's see. What do we think of Ants? I've only watched it once. I thought it was kind of funny. I probably wouldn't watch it again unless it was like I was in a cabin in the woods and that was the only DVD left.
That's exactly what it is too.
Like
that's like the movie where you have a cabin you rent and it's on VHS and it's the only VHS that works. And so you watch it 4 times that weekend, but you don't really want to watch it. I feel like personally, we said it earlier, it doesn't hold a candle to what Pixar's doing animation wise. Like I just went in on Pixar for their animation and it's 10 times better polished than what Ants is. You know what I'm saying? So that's a huge one. The story is nowhere near as congruent to what we have going on here in Pixar. Like we just spent an hour talking about circles in Pixar. Everything's connected. I can't do that for Ants. It's not connected. It's jumbled. It's the best part about it is Sylvester Stallone's voice, and that's literally it. There's really nothing else interesting about it. I feel like besides that, I'm not trying to crap on it because it is it's a decent movie. It's just when you put them together, I mean, Bug's Life, you know what I'm saying, and Ants, and I don't think there's too much of an argument there for that. And if you really feel that way, go watch both this week and comment on the thing.
Man,
tell me how you feel.
That's a double feature. That's a double feature to have.
I don't recommend it. Watch A Bug's Life and be happy.
Just watch Bug's Life twice, and you'll be good.
Right. I watched it 3 times this week. I was so happy.
Trying to think of other funny things from that movie. So like, I'm trying to like unlock all these memories of that time where it was like in Toy Story, I remember the toys, Happy Meal toys, and then Bug's Life, I think it had Happy Meal toys. It was Heimlich.
Yeah, well, I have actually. I mean, yeah, no, it was definitely Heimlich. Was definitely he was the darling of this movie, because even at the very end, we just watched Hopper get murked, and what happens? They forget about Heimlich, and he pops out, and we're all expecting like I wonder how they're gonna make Heimlich a butterfly. You
Mm-hmm.
just sit there, you're just like, what are they gonna do? That don't make no sense. And you see right away when it's just this,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh,
I'm
this is
finished.
I'm done. Oh look, I'm a beautiful, and you're just like, oh no, it didn't work. This is perfect. This is good. And I can remember my mom crying next to me in laughter when that scene happened. Like it was so good. So the payoff from where they were to where they took it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Heimlich's definitely the best comedic. I mean, we talked about it. It's the cast, man. Heimlich kills it. He's got the best one-liners in the movie by far. When it comes to voices, you got Dennis Leary playing a character who he shouldn't play that character. Nobody sees Dennis Leary as a ladybug. When you see Dennis Leary, you don't think ladybug, and it just works perfect. You got Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Like every piece of this cast was just made to make you laugh, all the way down. It's not a lot of the other ones. You got guys like Tom Hanks, who's just a phenomenal award-winning actor, and he kind of just brings it all together. This cast, it doesn't really have a Tom Hanks. It's basically just a whole bunch of comics getting together, and I'd imagine once again, I'd love to see the behind-the-scenes footage of shooting on this because I bet you there's some really, really good improv. Like between Brad Garrett, Richard Kind, Dennis Leary, all in one room, I can only imagine what comes out of their mouths.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think of other things to cover. I mean, I guess we can open the floor to questions. We've been kind of doing that. We'll take questions for. Hey, we're going on longer than usual, so I think the maximum of these are 2 hours, and we're at a little over an hour. So we can probably have a couple moments of questions. So the 4 of you that are watching, drop some questions or anything. It doesn't even have to be Bugs Life related. It could just be general truck stuff.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna check my notes real quick. 1 second.
Yeah. Feel like we should find the little golden book and just read it out loud and act it out. On this day, on Bugs Life. I'm trying to think of other memory or core memories of that show.
There we go.
Of the movie or anything besides the absolutely traumatizing ride show that they had at California Adventure.
I'm trying to remember how that went. Is that I was crazy with the bugs that hit your feet and they got you with the squish bug juice on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
giant animatronic spiders from the ceiling.
I liked that one. Where is it?
Let's see. Questions coming in. Next Piece of Planet Truck event. I don't have anything planned at this moment.
COVID.
Yeah. And there are ways to do it in which you are being safe, and I'm not saying that okay. I'm sure there are ways to do it in which it would be safe, and I think what's really tough is unless you're a full-on event space and you're a business, you have a team that can handle all of that. It's tough to do it unless you're tough enough to do it safely, in which I feel everyone would be comfortable. Granted, the truck is not you air out the truck and you drive it. You Lysol the handles. You don't let anyone sit inside, and then you should be fine. But right now we don't have anything planned. But with the way things are going, I'm being optimistic and hoping that we can do something sooner than later. And we would post about that before. So keep an eye out for that. When are we going to go on a cruise in our cars? Wait, on a Disney cruise in our cars? I mean, cruise lines. No. Sorry, when are we going to go on a cruise in the car? That's something that's more likely to happen than an event, I think, in which taking the Rambler out would be pretty fun. But hit me up after this, and we'll see what we can do. Because that's the thing. It's I mean, people have been oh, you should be delivering pizzas right now, and I'm that we've tried to deliver pizzas before.
Yeah, that was the very first comment I feel anybody gave us in the truck. It was you guys got pizza?
Well, I think what was really funny with that was that was the plan. We build it, deliver a pizza, film a video, film a reaction, call it a day, and then it just bloomed into this thing, this whole bigger thing. And I think that's what's really neat about it. That's still going on. Are we film majors or just movie buffs? Sean,
Why
you go
can't I just
first.
be? I'm I have a major just love for films. Why can't I just be that? Huh?
No,
Why
no,
can't I
no.
just be a major love for films? Why I gotta be? Why? I'm buff. Yeah, I'm buff. What's up? Yeah, no,
Sean is a
not a
movie
film
buff.
major.
Sean is a movie
Yeah,
buff, but not that kind of.
yeah, right.
No,
Well, I'm a movie buff. I love Pixar movies. Always have. My mom kind of she's a fanatic with this stuff. If you go to her house, she's just got like these big armoires and stuff just full of Pixar toys and everything. She's got like basically like Jessie cosplay stuff. She's got what you got, but like she's got like three or four. It's nuts, Marco. You've seen it before. She's
yeah, yeah.
got
Oh,
so
yeah.
much stuff going on.
10
And
years
so
ago, it was like twice the size of this.
yeah,
So I don't
it's
even want to know
crazy.
what it's like
And so
now.
she had to put a bunch of it in storage because her husband's like, "Why do we have all this?" And she's like, "You're right. It's just in a room. There's no reason for it." So yeah, big movie buff. Marco and I have been um, I've known Marco since he was a movie buff before he'll get to his side. But we made films together in all the way from middle school to high school, college. We went to college together for a little bit, and yeah, I like films. I don't know if I'm truly my lane though. I just love enjoying them. I'm a critical thinker.
Not a film major at all. Neither of us. Just lifelong interest in film and an eye for detail. I mean, I took a couple film classes in college and I learned about medium, wide, and close-up shots 5 different times. Um,
Yeah, I could tell you about aperture settings and photo stuff all day long, but it doesn't
yeah,
really.
yeah. Couple movies we did were in student film festivals. We won an award. I think the funniest thing is the only movie that we made that won an award was, now that I look back on it, was effectively like a YouTube video. Like it was a weird mashup. Where,
Oh yeah, yeah. You're talking about
yeah,
hidden camera shows?
no, no, no.
Which one are you talking about?
So I'll make this short so we can get to the next question. But Logan and I we made a movie where we were like adapting a Steve Martin play, and we were like very ambitious. We're like, we're gonna adapt a 120-page play as a 20-minute student film, because that's how ambitious we were. It was this blind ambition that was ridiculous.
So real quick, just to interject,
Yeah,
Logan
yeah.
is one of our mutual best friends, and Logan and I always talk about how Marco is this wild bronco of a horse, and he's got all these ideas, and he's ready to go, and they're just he wants to get him, and so Logan and I's job is to kind of be sometimes.
Be like, do this, be sensible. And like, but what was so funny when we did that movie was while we were editing it, like, so we would do a 20-minute movie every year of high school, and I think
Hmm.
one year we did two,
Yep,
which
you
is
did.
wild. We
Senior
would
year.
film it in 3 days or something, and it was a side project, and I was just bored, and I was like, I'm just going to put together the scene of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and The Matrix, and all I did was it was literally just dropping the music from The Matrix over Charlie running home. So he's running
Oh, I
home
remember that.
and it's like this very, it was really silly. It was like 2 minutes, and it's just like, because and I remember it literally is just the movie playing, and like I cut out
Mhm.
Slugworth and just made it so he runs all the way home, and then when he goes, oh, no, all the tickets are taken up, it cuts to Neo waking up in the Matrix. It's wild. I'll find the clip. It's so silly, but
Post it to
it,
the Pizza Planet truck. What Instagram?
yeah,
It'll be
it's
so
like
good.
back in the day. But what was so weird about that is that's the only movie that we made that won an award. It won it effectively won the popular vote at our high school film festival. And I remember it made a lot of people mad because everyone else was like going out into fields and filming sword fights and like doing romantic comedies or doing this, and we won for basically a YouTube mashup before YouTube mashups were a thing. Um,
Saw, dude.
yeah. I should upload those again and put them on like a unlisted thing. Let's see. What
You
did we
always
think of
send
the
me
late?
stuff like that. I love it.
Yeah, the stuff that I find that I forgot
I
that I
love it.
uploaded.
We'll talk about it. We'll keep going, I'm
Hmm
sure. What did you think
What
about
did
the latest Onward and Soul? Marco, you
what I
first.
would well I, okay, yeah
Onward.
I yeah the two Pixar films released during quarantine. Onward was the last film that I saw in theaters. I liked it. I thought it was neat. Um, I think the story was really well done. I think I got to watch it again. I've only watched it 3 times. The
I've only
Simpsons
watched it
short.
once. You beat me.
The Simpsons short at the beginning was really weird seeing in theaters. Not gonna lie, um, and I liked it. I thought it was neat. I thought Dan Scanlon's story and how that connected. I thought that it told what could have been a very specific story in a very universal way, and I think that was
Mm-hmm.
handled very well. Soul. Oh, actually, sorry, Sean.
Real quick,
Onward,
let me
go
get
for
in
you.
there on the Onward. So Onward, I thought it was really rad. I thought once again Pixar hits it out of the park by just creating a litany of characters in the movie to where you're gonna identify with somebody in here. There's too much personality in this movie to not identify. You know what I mean? Even if you identify with I forget what it was, the Minotaur or whatever the lady was, like you're gonna identify with somebody, you know.
Mhm.
And so I think they did a great job of that. I think I wasn't nearly as engaged in that movie as I probably could have been, but I think a big part of that is that I lost out on the movie experience. I watched that at home, you know,
Mhm.
and it was good. It was definitely good, but there's something about being in the movies, especially for all these Pixar movies, that like it
Mhm.
really affects you. Like they want you to, even though like
Grand
even
scale.
Bugs Life, yeah, it's saying Bugs Life, this whole thing that they're bugs, but there's this grandiose feeling of things, and like having that kind of sound hit you and stuff. It matters. So I feel like I missed out on a big portion of what they wanted me to feel and see in that movie
Mhm.
because it came out when it did.
Mhm.
Um, but I did like it. I thought the color palette was really rad. I'm
Mhm.
somebody who like I'll play Magic cards with my friends back in the day, so like that was right up my alley of cool stuff I like. Um, Now moving on to Soul, once again, especially because it's a movie with so much music in it, I'm so bummed I couldn't see it on the big screen
Yeah.
because I know that there just would have been so much more goosebumps and stuff happening throughout the film, even down to like when there's no sound, when he first
Mhm.
goes over to the other side and
Yeah.
everything, and it's just
Yeah.
quiet. Like I don't get that kind of like. There's something that comes from being in a room that's full of whoa, Inception type noise to
Mhm.
just pin drop. I don't
Yeah.
get that. I have a
And knowing
dog.
that like
I got
everyone
cars
in the
outside.
audience mhm,
Hmm.
is like in this like silent agreement to like, oh, and like there would have been a lot of moments um from Soul that I think would have been really neat to see with an audience. Yeah.
I think Soul was one of my favorite stories that they've told, especially
Hmm.
because I really didn't know where they were going to go. I
Yeah.
watched that movie and was completely put on my butt in the sense I had no idea what the movie was going to be about. And Pixar hits it out of the park with this almost every time, where they don't give you everything in the movie in their trailers. They
Hmm.
do a great job of that. They get you excited for it, and they don't get you excited. You don't even know what you're excited for. Like you saw a couple like little like glimpses of what he looked like as a soul, but you didn't
Hmm.
understand what was going on. You didn't know. You didn't know what you didn't know he was gonna. He was. I don't want to give spoiler alert.
Yeah.
He's a soul.
Hmm.
You didn't know any of that. And so
Hmm.
by the time you actually see it happen, even though they foreshadow it in the begetting the way they do, so
You're
good.
still
We'll do
surprised.
100%.
Yeah.
We'll do a
Yeah.
big deep dive on both those
Hmm.
movies for sure. There's only a
Yeah.
few movies I've so I don't want to get. I don't know if I should say it now, but there's one Pixar movie I haven't seen.
Which one?
I haven't seen Ratatouille.
You haven't?
I haven't seen Ratatouille.
I think what's really interesting is that I think in the past, I say recently, but like in the past 5 years, like I think what um the reaction I just had, the reaction I just had, you haven't seen it, you're in for a treat. I think you're in like I
I
think it's going to
hear
be
that
really.
all the time.
I
I don't know
think it's
how
some.
it slipped under my radar. I don't know why I didn't. I don't know what I was doing. I don't
Mhm.
know if I had like some evil ex-girlfriend who kept me from the movies or something like that.
I
I
hate
don't know.
French cuisine and I hate
There
rodents. You're not
will no
going to see
friends
that
for
movie,
me.
Sean. Sean Beeman, I forbid you from. I don't know why
And
she's
then she
asking
smacked me
for
with a
French.
baguette.
Sean, I refuse for you to take me to that film. Do not
I
insult me
know.
with such.
And I've seen a couple scenes from it that look phenomenal, where it's just music playing and he's cooking and it
Yeah.
looks delicious. And I've seen those scenes on the internet and stuff, but I don't know how or why it just never made its way onto my plate. And I'm really excited to watch it. Like I'm I'm purposefully holding off until we get there to watch it
Mhm.
because I know I'm going to watch it 3 or 4 times that week, and I'm excited. I'm very excited for it
I'm
because
like
it's I don't.
learning that fact and knowing that that's going to happen. Like, I'm really excited to hear like what you think of it in that like
Yeah.
what a first timer thinks and like and you've been exposed to all of the culture and all the jokes and the
Mm-hmm.
pop culture
Yeah.
references, but knowing where it comes from and how it relates to the whole movie, that's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun episode. Stay tuned, everyone.
For real, for real.
Let's see. Grizzly Peak Rambler. Do I know if the real Onward van is owned by Disney? From my understanding, the Onward van, they only made one question mark. That they toured around to different theaters and stuff. And D23 and stuff like that. I saw it up close at D23. It's really neat. They got the team at Pixar worked with the details and they machined things for it. So it's really cool looking. I never saw the inside, unfortunately, or I've seen pictures of the inside.
So it is real? I didn't realize it was real.
Well, they made a replica of it, whatnot, and that I think it's owned by one of the studios, and I don't know what they are.
What kind of van they used to make the replica?
I think it was a Dodge van, question mark. I was told which one it was, and I forgot. I do know that
I get that they really wanted that van to have the Pizza Planet truck like mystique to it, you know? It didn't do that for me though. I'll be real. It didn't. Pizza Planet truck's way cooler. It really is. I'm speaking from my heart here. I thought it was a cool van, but
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that there aren't more people making Onward van replicas that run. I think that would be interesting. That would be a fun road trip. I think it'd be a great road trip vehicle, though. That'd be a good chase car.
Definitely for us.
There's an idea.
Oh God!
Actually, a while ago, you would get a kick out of this, Sean. A while ago, I was talking about abandoned project ideas, and I was talking about how I think when we were starting the truck, or maybe shortly after we finished, we were talking about the electric mayhem bus.
Yeah, dude, don't get me going on that. Because as you know, and I've talked to you at length about this, the Muppets Complete series is on Disney Plus, everybody. And if you're not watching, you're doing yourself a disservice. If you like adult humor, if you like Saturday Night Live, if you like little guys who go,
you're in for a treat,
dude. Because this show is phenomenal. I just got the Steve Martin episode a couple days ago. And season 2, it's like the 7th episode. So first of all, you forget Steve Martin was low-key a rock star back in the day.
Oh yeah,
he's up there. He's got his shirt down to here. He's got his little taco meat hanging out. He's got a banjo, and he's playing bluegrass, Electric Mayhem Band, and he's really playing the band because today people know him as the bluegrass savant that he is, but back then you don't really know that. I mean, there's no internet, and so when he starts playing that banjo the way he does, I was, as a musician myself, I was floored, completely floored, and he's really, really good.
Speaking of Steve Martin, I was going to run off and get his book, Born Standing Up. If you haven't read that book, read it. Even if you don't know anything about his comedy routine, even if you don't know anything about him, just read it. It's great.
I'll tell you right now, my favorite Steve Martin quote, Marco, is this: "I'm just a poor little black child." The jerk.
I don't need this.
If you haven't seen The Jerk, watch The Jerk. Don't get your feelings hurt. It's not sensitive.
That movie. So I'm gonna jump back. I'll tell you a story. This is gonna be a funny story for people. I went on a date a long time ago, and I saw Wally, and then like a week later, I watched The Jerk with them, and she didn't like either of those, and it didn't go any further than that. It's just like
you don't like Wally? I kind of get The Jerk, because I mean, like,
The Jerk's
if you're part of the cancel culture of today, if you're really on board with that, honestly, you could kind of cancel Steve Martin for The Jerk. You could find something in there, because he makes some insensitive jokes in there, but it's like slapstick insensitive, so it's kind of hard. It's hard to really judge it. It's not. It's bad. But it's really funny. I laugh at that like I laugh at Blazing Saddles. Should I laugh at it? I probably shouldn't, but I do. I don't know what to say. My dad laughed.
So you got it.
We gave him the pass. We're good.
Let's see. Use a 7G10. Probably. I'll tell you one thing. Like, even though, like, up to my eyeballs in truck stuff, my memory for specific cars is not 100% there.
My son is afraid of the Muppets.
Oh, Hmm.
Well, I don't really have a solution for that. I should be
I
a
know.
fan
I'm
of
trying to
Muppets.
think of
I don't have a
comedy.
story I can tell on the podcast. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
of one I can.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. They're not scary. They're really
I'm
not.
trying to think
I
of
get it.
like,
They kind of are, though. The way they move, they're
yeah,
way
I'm
too
trying to think of
big.
like a program that like, I mean,
Sesame
and
Street. Are they scared of Sesame Street? Because that's the Muppets.
yeah, kind of the same. Let's see.
Yeah.
Interesting. You never had kids. Yep. Oh yeah, Cheaper by the Dozen, and
Cheaper by the
Parenthood,
dozen, too.
and yeah, Cheaper by the Dozen, Baker's Dozen, even more dozens.
Yeah, right.
But yeah. Well,
Ah, yes, Blazing Saddles. Where all the why? I don't know what you're talking about. It's a good show. Good movie. Oh, man.
let's see. Trying to think of any truck news coming up that's interesting, at least with us.
You know, one thing I want to touch on real quick, just
Yeah.
because I love talking about it, and I wish they would do it, is I love how much they use horns in all their scores. There's so much horn inside of everything, right? And like it makes me wish that they would at some point use Chicago as like
yeah.
a group to make, because like they do like for Soul, you know what I'm saying? It would have been so cool if like just because I love horns. Earth, Wind and Fire, Chicago, all those bands like that. You got me. I'm in. And so they really utilize them really well. I'm very appreciative. He liked Muppet Babies, but not the real Muppets, especially not Animal. I'm offended. I just wanted you to know, pretty much just Animal. I'm so upset right now. You don't even understand.
That's like your number
made
one,
me upset.
right? That's like your
That's
top.
the number one. That's it. You know what I'm saying? When you're watching the show, it's so great because every female that comes on, like every guest, they always fall in love with Animal. And he's like, bro, I'm not really into you. It's so cool. Oh my gosh. I had a experience one time with Animal. We'll leave it at that. He was really cool. My
And then
favorite Steve Martin,
Steve Martin is
Roxanne.
Good
Good
movie.
one. Definitely a good one for sure.
I remember watching that in high school in like English literature because we were reading about Cyrano, and then they're like, "Well, let's watch Roxanne," and I'm like, "Yay!" And it was like, "What's this movie? Who's Steve Martin?" I'm like, no, high school. I know I'm not supposed. I'm never going to talk to any of you again, but enjoy this movie.
LOL, he's a small child. Sorry he offended you. I need a video submission of the apology. Otherwise, it doesn't count. Okay? I don't want you writing his apologies for him. All right? He's a grown child. He can apologize for himself.
Let's see.
Sour. I'm just kidding.
Now, Sean's going to personally deliver a Muppet
knock,
to you.
knock, knock.
It's an animal. Animal.
It's animal.
It's gonna be that. It's gonna be that Sesame Street. It's gonna be that GIF of Big Bird kicking down a door.
We got Big Bird and big problems, baby.
I feel like we need to do a bonus episode where we just focus on the Muppets and something else. Like I've joked about the other day. I like that we're in like freeform mode. I'm okay with this. The other day I was talking with a friend about I still need to do I have a box of stickers, and I literally just want to do a broadcast where I'm just talking about the sticker collection I have. This is from
this
NASA
sticker
mission.
is from 1996. I visited the base.
I mean, I could do. I that's the thing. I need to figure out what type of YouTube style I can do. I can either do my favorite, which is this would be easier to show off if I wasn't filming with one hand in the camera, or I could do yeah. Hi everyone. Whoa, the world is spinning. Oh my gosh. Here I am outside downtown Disney for the third time in a pandemic.
Got the best Huell Hauser voice. You're Huell Hauser. You're not trying to right now, but you're.
You mean to tell me? That's amazing.
Like old guys in their stamp collection?
Yes, I'll do it like that.
It is.
I'll do it like that. I need to get those little tweezers.
That's literally what this is. Is that?
And like I need to like real quiet, have rain playing in the background. Here's a sticker from 1997. Thunder. No, there's some funny stickers I have though. I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. Well, let's see. Today's Tuesday to Wednesday. I'm doing something
tomorrow.
Thursday.
We're free.
Yeah. we got. I could do that. Would be pretty funny. Like. Sean, would you want to like color commentate on stickers as well? Like ask me what stickers?
I'm down.
That
one looks
like
sticky.
Do now, Marco, you mean to tell me that sticker is not going to stick
I'll
on?
just make dad jokes the whole time. That's pretty cool. You know what else is pretty cool, Marco? You know what tool used to cut wood? A saw, dude.
I was let me tell. We used to dream of having saws. What?
Do we
He's
have a
drowning us.
TikTok?
What do you call?
That might work. Marco does utilize the Pizza Planet truck. TikTok.
I'm trying. We are at Pizza Planet Truck, and
Nice.
it's a mixture of like old clips, and I'm trying to just do like goofy stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm just kind of
It's
experimenting
honestly,
with it.
it's just a really fun medium. So it's just fun to do whatever you feel like with it.
Mhm.
Whatever edits you want to put up there, solid.
And then
This is
Sean,
mostly just edits and stuff. Mine's mostly, I have a TikTok at Sean Beeman, SeanBeamon, and it's basically, I don't know. Mine's like just a video editing platform for me mostly. So I use it to just kind of make fun edits, and I see what the other TikTokers do and try to emulate what I see with different cool music that I hear. It's a trip, man. TikTok is so against the law in the sense that all the copyright music you get to use,
yeah,
and like it's so much fun to utilize it all. And so I'm just kind of dabbling with that. So you'll see me with like roller skating edits. I got some really sweet roller skates. I think they're right here. Look,
these roller skates are bonkers.
They're the Jordans. They're the Billy. Gosh, I forgot his name right now. Billy Hoyle colorway from White Men Can't Jump. And I got these custom skates. Saw, dude, pretty rad.
So
Sean, you'll see those on there.
Now, do they function as shoes on their own, or are they just like you put the shoe on and then you put them on? I mean, like, does it have like a big rail
long
on
story
the bottom?
short, essentially what they do is they take inside of the shoe right here, there's a metal plate that they make as a sole, right? And then they put that on the inside, and on the bottom, you'll see there's little screws here, and they screw right into that metal sole. The shop I went to, shout out Surf City Skates, over here in Huntington Beach. They're pretty rad, really cool people. You get to talk to the owner if you go in there. They do any shoe you want. I had some old skates here. Look at these. I'm good.
Man, I should.
Here's my old boot. They were pretty rad.
Yeah.
Rep some vintage 80s Nikes. They're pretty sick. And they just were toasted. The plates are just done. So I had to get some new ones. And I was going to get those when serviced. And the lady told me it was going to cost me a few $100. And so instead of doing that, I just spent the money on new ones. And she does custom work there. So
I'm trying to think if I have any old but not bad condition shoes. That would be good to convert.
No, they won't do. You have to do. They don't want you smelly shoes. That's basically what it comes down to. They want something new. Has to be a new shoe. I thought about that kind of thing too. What I wanted to do. Think about this. Just think about this for a second, Marco.
Okay.
Because you know me, I'm a little.
Consider if you will.
All right, and so I like to wear what's known as a huarache. Okay, and I thought it'd be dope to turn this into a roller skate, right? But I didn't get much traction from the friends and family on this one. But I mean, it's a really sweet shoe. Yeah. And like, I would just look like I'm, a native Chicano rolling around on roller skates.
I'm trying to think of like a fun shoe to do. That would be real interesting.
It's a fun like little exercise to kind of. I had like a week to just kind of decide what kind of shoe I wanted. So, and then I came up on those. Like I love. It's basically, if you know White Man Can't Jump, that's Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes. It's a basketball movie. I'm a big basketball buff, so it's the 90s, light colors, bright colors. It's totally my style. Yeah. So it worked out perfect.
Let's see. Now we have to talk about Brink. Yeah, we got to do like a Disney Channel movie night.
Oh man, dude! I had not just so Brink that was a bad influence on me. If you want to be real quick, so I have an older brother who was really into like turning us into gangs all the time, like in our neighborhood. So it'd be like we'd all like we got into roller skating and rollerblading, and Brink just came out, and so we in a rollerblading gang with all the kids in our neighborhood. And we'd go around with like chalk, not like spray paint, like chalk, and like tag like the streets.
Hopscotch.
Yeah. It was like we had a name, like our name was like Reds or something like that. And so like write Reds really big in the street, like so dumb. And then like because we all had red skates, and so then we what else do we do? Like, there's always little stuff like that. So Brink, yeah, I remember vividly. That Brink was around the time when TiVo first came out. Because remember, my dad had gotten TiVo like the very first year, and I remember watching Brink all the time on TiVo.
Nice. There's part of me that wants to get back into like rollerblading, roller skating, or something. I mean, we used to skate we used to cruise. We used to longboard.
Well, I mean, technically, this Pixar movie got me back into skating in general. I hadn't skated since high school, really, at all, since like my freshman, sophomore year. And when we went on our road trip, I purchased that Z Flex, and I started skating all the time after that. I went from basically on that trip, I went from really, really, really bad at skating to like halfway decent to
Mm-hmm.
after that I got heavily, I mean, because it was San Francisco,
Yeah.
I got heavily into downhill skating after that. Like heavily. To the point of which I broke both of my hands downhill skating probably about 2 years after that movie.
I just remember,
Good times.
yeah. Oof. I just think about like, I think it was really funny with, I was thinking about it a while back where like, there are so many like, excuse me, there's so many influences and like films and genres and stuff that I think that we pulled in for the project, for the trip. And I don't know if it's just me like 2020 hindsight with rose-colored glasses, but I always, anytime that I watch any skate video,
Mm-hmm.
that's the vibe that that crew had. I feel like where it was just like let's do
Break?
something, or no, just like any skate video, like the
Mm-hmm.
like you know
Oh, the
when we
art
were
crew had. Oh,
yeah,
100%.
and it was just this like it was real eclectic, you know, like I wasn't that great at skating. Some people just didn't skate at all, but everyone figured it out. There'd be someone who, you know, it's like someone would grab the board if it went too far.
Real
Just, you
talk,
know,
if you've ever hung out in a skate park, that's the vibe. Is that you got
mhm.
like so many different levels of skill, and then you got so many people who are just trying shit that they can't do. You know what I mean? But they're just gonna keep trying it anyways. And you got like 3 or 4 people who don't skate at all who just hang out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's literally what we had going on.
And it was just like anytime I see skate videos where they're going from place to place to place, that's what like I'm still looking for the footage. I don't know if I told you this, Sean. We're looking for I put all the footage from the meat and potatoes part of the road trip on a drive, and I think Felix has it, but we're looking for it because we can't find it. And and so like we have the fully edited movie,
Uh-huh.
but there's part
But
of me
there's
that
so much
wants,
extra footage. Yeah.
yeah, and there's part
Just
of me
to
that's
make a
just
new
like,
cut.
yeah, oh, and just a
The
better
Zack
cut.
Snyder. The Zack Snyder.
The Snyder cut.
Yeah.
Road to Pixar
Please
Snyder
edit.
cut.
Please edit to the
Everything's all
exact same
dark.
music. Yeah, dude, do it. Please do it.
The
You'll
whole
make my
we're gonna be
whole
skating to a slow version of we're gonna to Hallelujah.
Follow Pizza Planet TikTok. Please follow Pizza Planet TikTok. It's coming. We're motivating Marco. We're doing this. We're doing this for sure.
I'll tell you when I have hopes that we're going to find that footage, and I know that like as I've heard it from film friends, and I've just heard it from like project art people, like where they say like don't go back to the same project over and over again. But I feel like the first run, even though we have the 12-minute movie online, there is much room for improvement on it. So I think like
I think that
look,
there's just different directions you can go with it.
oh yeah,
There's the
and
documentary direction. There's the music-mentary direction. There's
mhm.
like there's the testimonial direction you can go with it. There's a
Yeah,
lot of testimonials on that we didn't include in it at all. Like
yeah,
we talked to people everywhere.
hmm and it's just like there's a whole like yeah, I want another crack at it. Like
You
even
know,
if it's just like it's just funny. Like because I think what was so funny is I was like dead set on like 20 minutes, and then it just kept getting shorter and shorter, and then it's like we could do like sorry, this is like
you can do
live,
episodes. What you should do.
yeah, exactly, and that's what
Yeah.
I think that's what we would do if when we find that footage.
For the next episode, we'll do the same thing. We'll each pick a scene. I'll try to be better at making sure I get it to you. I'm sorry I didn't do that.
No, you're good.
And then, what else could we do? If you have any other ideas, if anybody has any ideas they'd like to see us talk more about, I know this one was the second hour was very freeform. I kind of like the idea of just doing like another 30, 45 minutes of freeform stuff after the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
I tried to stay a little more true to the movie this time, at least in chronological order.
Mhm.
I hope that worked out better for us. Yeah, Bugs Life. I was really pumped on it overall. I think the highlight of the whole movie is definitely the cast.
Mhm.
I think it definitely stands the test of time. It's just that it's underneath a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
it's
the catalog that is Pixar is vast.
it's like a solid piece of gold in a pile of gold and platinum, and you're like, well, what about that
100%.
little piece of gold?
Like, well, it's gold.
Yeah, it's still gold. It's just at the bottom of the pile. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
All right.
yeah.
Well, I think is this where we ended? Is it over?
I think this
Sean?
is it. This is it,
over?
sir.
Well, we'll always have Paris. All right.
My
So
brother,
long, everyone.
it was
We'll
great to
sign.
talk to you. Peace, love, and chicken grease, y'all.
Bye, everybody. Goodbye. 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 How do I end this? Oh, no. Oh, how do I end it? There we go. Goodbye.